Welcome Geon Landscape students. Today we are going to be concentrating on the very humble but very versatile prim. Okay, so today we're going to be going over some very simple functions within the editing window and also showing you how you can make specific items to elevate your landscapes. So what we're first going to do today, okay, we're just going to res a prim. So if I turn around here, okay, so what I've done is I've right clicked the ground. Alright, I'm going to right click, edit, I'm going to bring my window over, okay, and at the top here you'll see something that looks like a magic wand. Now here we can actually res all manner of shapes, as you can see here. Now we've got square highlighted, so we're going to use that today, okay? But again, you can use anything from a cylinder to a triangle, depending on what it is that you want to actually make. But for today, we're going to concentrate on the very humble square, okay? Now, there's many things that we can do with a prim. Now, of course, you know, using the colored boxes here, we can make it flat, we can make it taller, and this can be used for platforms or whatever else. But for today, we're just going to be showing you some simple functions, okay? So as you can see in your edit window here, we have different things. So we have rotate, stretch, select face, align, edit linked, stretch both sides, stretch textures, etc. Now we're going to just be doing some simple things today. Again, there will be another video where we can go into more in depth with regards to textures and things like that. But just for now, we're going to be concentrating on select facing and edit linking, okay, and then eventually linking, which you'll see here. So there's many things that you can do when you are trying to create something. So for example, now again, this actually goes for any item that you're using in SL. This can be a sofa, it can be a lamp, it could be a mountain. Everything that you utilize within SL utilizes faces, and what faces means is the sides of the item, okay? So if I go into select face here, I'm just going to press it, you will see that all of these different faces are highlighted, and if I swerve around, you'll see they're highlighted there. So this specific square, okay, has 6 faces. Now what we're going to do now, we're going to make the top face here translucent, okay? So this is really great when you're using, for example, backgrounds within your builds, and perhaps there's something on that background like a plant or maybe a brick or any item that you don't really want in your build. You know, it doesn't fit your theme, or it's just ugly, and this is a really, really good tool that you can utilize to hide something, okay? So for all intents and purposes, we're just going to select the top. So again, we've got select face highlighted, select the top of the prim there, and now we're going to go into texture. So you can see here we got general, object, features, texture, content. I'm going to go into texture there, okay? And as you can see here, we've got transparency. Alright, so we're going to give that a click, and you're going to see that the cursor is now flashing. We're going to press backspace, and we want this to be completely invisible, okay? So we're going to do 100. And as you can see here now, it is completely disappeared on the top. Now if we go to the sides are all there, top has now disappeared. Now if you want to undo that, for instance, say for example you've X'd out, oh goodness, what am I going to do? Again, right click your item, go into edit, select face, press the top, we're going to go back into transparency, and then we're going to put it back to 0, and you'll see that it reappears. Now there are other things that we can do within this edit box as well. We could change the color of an item. So what I tend to do when I've got this, of course, don't really like the texture of this box, you know, it's a bit wooden. I want to have a blank start. So just to kind of highlight what I'm going to be doing with this prim, I'm going to change the color of the flooring here. So as you can see, I've highlighted my flooring, okay? I'm now going to go into color, I'm going to press color, and I've got all manner of items here. So to make it easier for you guys to see, I'm going to change it to black. I'm going to press OK to finalize my selection. Okay, and then I can X out if I want to. So going back to our prim there, same exact concept. So again, I don't want to use the wooden texture. I want to have a completely blank start. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click the texture box there. Okay, and you'll see here that it comes with different options. It allows me to blanket or transparent. Now, I can either go transparent, makes it completely transparent, or what I want to do is I want to make it completely blank. Okay, I want a great clean surface for me to colour. So I'm going to press blank, press OK, and you'll see it gives me a lovely white blank box. So now I'm going to go into colour. Okay, and we're now going to press red. Okay, and now we have a perfectly good red box. Now there's something else that we can do with this too. So if you've noticed in SL, there's obviously neon and things like that. And sometimes, you know, we don't always have the financial means to buy new things all the time. But there are ways that you can create neon within your own builds. So again, we've got our color here, which is red. And what we're going to do is we're going to click full bright. Okay, but that isn't enough really to give us what we want. Doesn't look very neon, does it? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into glow. Again, we're just going to click it so the cursor flashes, backspace, and we're going to give this 50 just for a start. Now again, as you can see, we've now got some glow going on. But again, neon isn't solid like this. We want it to be a little bit translucent, but transparent. So I'm going to go into transparency, backspace, and we're going to make it 40. Now if we want to, we can go even further, and we can do it to 70. The sky is really the limit here. Now if you want to, when you're building like this, if you want to get rid of that yellow outline, now again, when you're finished out, it's not there, but when you're building, it can kind of get in the way a little bit. One of the things we can do here is we can actually go up here and you can see show highlight. If you click that, it allows you now to have no interference with what you're doing. Okay, so again, I can now increase the transparency to 80. I can even transparent it to 90. But what I'm going to do, I like 70. 70 works for me. Okay, and here we can now change the color. Even still, we can change it to green. And what you can do now is just by utilizing the boxes, and again, we do this in two ways. Okay, so we can actually resize in two different ways. So you can either utilize it using stretch, okay, and that allows you to stretch your objects as you wish. Or another way that I like to do it, okay, I'm just going to X out of that. I right click, go back into edit, and then on my laptop keyboard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control, press Shift, and then I'm going to keep my fingers down on those two buttons, okay? And then I'm going to right click, and then using my finger on my touchpad or movement of your mouse, I can now resize that way. I generally prefer the Control Shift method. I find it easier for me. But again, this is entirely up to you, whatever you find easier. Because you'll see that even my fingers are currently held down on the Control Shift, but you'll see it still highlights that. And then once I take my fingers off, you'll see it disappears. Same again. So now we've actually created our neon strip. So this can actually go around windows. So for example, I'm going to go upside down so you guys can have a clearer look. We could actually use this for the side of roads. When you're doing event spaces, you could do it around picture frames. And another, obviously you've seen I've just made a copy there. The way that we can make a copy is by pressing Shift, holding down the Shift key. Okay, right click the green arrow or any directional arrow that you prefer, And as we're holding those down, we're just going to drag. And you'll see it's made a copy. And again, I'm going to do it again. Shift, hold down, right click, hold, drag. Hold, drag. Okay? Now when you're doing between them, you want to make sure that you're taking your finger off that right button. You can keep your finger on shift if you would like, but I just find it easier that way. Okay, so now what we're doing, I've still got my finger on shift, okay, and as I'm doing shift, I am right clicking each of these prims, and then I'm right clicking, taking my fingers off, right clicking, more, delete. So I'm left just with my one prim. Okay, so we're going to do that again. Okay, shift, right hold, drag, shift, right hold, drag, and then we can highlight it again. Okay, so highlighted, shift, highlighted, right click, more, delete. So one of the other things that we can do, now I want to put this back to 0, don't want it to glow anymore. I'm going to put my transparency back to 0, okay, and I'm going to put this back to white. We're also going to remove the full bright, and now we're back to normal. So there's another thing that you guys can actually do within your builds. Okay, so it's something that's really useful, especially when you've got a big detailed build but you don't necessarily have the prim allowance to implement lighting. But of course, you know, we want that lighting within our builds. It elevates it and it creates more atmospheric options for us and for our clients. So one of the things you can actually do and utilize is something called a light box. So what we're going to do, we are going to go into features. Okay, now again, this is still in an edit box. Okay, right click, edit, see. We're now going to go into features. Once we're in features, you'll go down and you'll see that there's a box here that says light. We're going to give that a click. Now what that's done is that it's actually now giving off a light. You might not see it because obviously with the black, but if I change the colors here, it's a bit bright, isn't it? So for this, I'll show you at midnight. So obviously we've now got, if we go back into features, sorry about that guys, you're going to see light. We're going to click it, and then if I go into midnight, world, environment, midnight, and then I unclick that, you'll see that it's dark, and then light, it's lighted up. What I'm going to do now is I'll take this over for you to get a better feel. So we'll take this over to So we've got our light box here, and if you notice, I'm going to press light. Instantly adds light to our builds. Now, of course, we don't want just a flying box there, do we? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into texture. We're going to go into transparency, backspace, type in 100, and now we have a light box that's visible. Now, of course, we can move this box wherever we want. This now adds additional layouts, additional immersive effects to our builds. And again, we're saving prims. But that's not all, because sometimes when we do builds, for example, Halloween, or if we want to have more of a spooky effect, of course a white light like this is a little bit too drowning. So what we can do here is we can actually change the color. So we're going to go into features, and as you see next to light, there's a white box. We're going to click that white box, We're going to change the colour. So I want to have more of a spooky effect, so I'm going to do green, press OK, and now you see that I've completely changed the atmosphere of what I'm doing, and all I've done is change the colour. Again, features, light, white box, red. You can do pink, imagine a Barbie build, or if you just want to keep it simple and just do a light for, say, a living room, what I suggest is more of an orange light. Now, what the orange light does, it allows to have additional warmth. So when you think about a living room, candlelight, fireplaces, it adds a level of intimacy. So you want to make sure that your light has maybe a little bit of orange to it. A white light is very draining, very cold in a space. So adding just a touch of orange warms up an environment. And now you see, you can add to your plants and trees and create that effect. Now there is another cool thing that you guys can actually do with a light box such as this, and that's actually create a projector. Now what a projector is usually in nightclubs and things like that, you will see that there is a light, perhaps in word form or maybe a particular design, that is actually being projected upon the floor or the walls. So I'm going to show you now how you can do that. To be able to do this, you need to utilize, okay, your graphics. So at the moment, obviously I'm just on high. So again, I'm going to go back and tell you again. So you're going to press avatar. And again, guys, this is on Firestorm. It might be very different from Black Dragon. So of course, I'm not sure the levels of Black Dragon, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But we're going to go into preferences, give that a click, and we're going to make sure that our advanced lighting model is on. Now we utilize this through the graphics tab. Now go down and you're going to make sure that your advanced lighting model is utilized. Okay, and then you're going to press OK. Now you'll see the textures have somewhat changed a little. We've still got our box highlighted, but what you'll see now, that within features, the moments that we've actually activated that, you'll see another box appears. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to click that box, and you've got two choices here. You can either drag a texture into that box, or you can do what I'm doing now. Okay, so I'm going to type in Beetlejuice because I know that I have a particular texture that works for me. Now this does work far better using textures that have a transparent background. Now, for example, a transparent background will always tend to have these white and grey squares behind it, and what that generally means, guys, is that when you put it on a prim, all that's going to show are the, is the picture rather than the squares. So it allows you to have, if you can see here the difference. Okay, so what we're going to do, I've decided on Beetlejuice here, and you'll notice that straight away it's actually showing on the floor, and you'll notice that I'm moving it up and down, and what that does is that will actually dictate how big, and also remember, the higher you go, the less clear it is. And what I can do, I can also change the color. So again, I'm going to press the light, press green, and now it's green. If I press red, it'll change to red. Love a bit of Beetlejuice, so I'm going to keep it green for now. Now when I X out of this, you'll notice it doesn't move. Now when we've put a prim into transparency and we've theoretically lost it, there is a way that we can actually find it when it's invisible. So the way that you utilize this is holding down Control, Alt, and then pressing T. Now what that does, it now highlights all of the alphas around you. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got an alpha on my floor, the plants and things like that. You'll notice that everything tends to turn red for alphas. Okay, Now if I move my camera around, and I'm doing that pressing Alt, and then obviously my arrow keys, and you'll see that there is my box. So if I right click it, go into edit, got my box highlighted, and then I'm going to press Control Alt T again, and I'm back to normal. Okay. Now one of the things that we can do here is, I'm in a club and I don't want it just to stay still like that. I want it to rotate. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the Content tab. Okay. And then I'm going to utilize my inventory. So I'm going to press my inventory button right there. And I'm going to type in rotate. Now obviously I'm just using this for myself. So it doesn't matter if it's trans or anything else like that. But if you're using this to give to somebody else, of course you want to make sure that it's transferable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that one. And you can get a rotation script, guys, off Marketplace. But to be completely honest, I have no doubt that in your inventory, you will have one lying around somewhere, okay? And we'll go into how you can perhaps edit a modifiable script to make it faster or slower or change direction at a later date. But for now, just going to show you this, okay? So we're going to grab that rotation script. And we are just going to hold down our right button on our laptops or on your mouse, and we are going to drag it, okay? And then we're gonna let the right button go, and it will drop straight in there. And then we're gonna X out. And as you'll see, my projector is now turning. Now, with something like this, of course, if you want it to be smaller or clearer, you're going to have it closer to the ground. So with that, it means that people can walk into it or bump over it, and that can really kind of affect what you're trying to do. So what we're going to do, Control Alt T again, I'm going to find my box, I'm going to locate it, there it is, right click, edit, I'm going to come back out of Control Alt T, okay, still highlighted, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Object. Now this is invisible, great, but I want to make it so people can walk through it. So there is going to be no problem with people bumping into it or having to walk over it. And this is really great, guys, for every single item that you decorate with. So for example, if you've got curtains in a doorway, if you have trees, sometimes they have these invisi-prims on them that really affect the walkability of your build, and then you end up bumping or being prevented from getting into somewhere. This is something that you guys can use, and as a rule, I tend to use this for every single build that I do. So for example, if I have a build that utilizes chairs, tables, trees, lag happens. And I want to try and make it as easy as I can for my client to navigate that build under every circumstance that they may be faced with. So I tend to make all my chairs and tables and things like that phantom, so then I'm able to walk through it, okay? So that's what we're going to utilize right now. And phantom basically means similar to, you know, transparency in the sense of you can't really see it, but it allows you to walk through, okay? So what we're going to do here in Object, you'll see you've got locked, physical, temporary, and phantom. We're going to press phantom. We're going to X out, and that means I can walk through the item. Now, if I show you again, without the phantom on, you'll see that I'm bumping, and I can't get around it. Phantom on. Can walk straight through. So I cannot stress this enough, guys. Make sure that you're utilizing phantom. Of course, you don't use it on walls or floors, otherwise you will fall through it. One other thing that we can do here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this visible for you. We're going to do Control Alt T, get out of that red. One other thing that you can actually do with prims or items, and this is really, really cool if you want to make things that fall or can be moved. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go into Object, okay, and we're going to come out to Phantom, because of course we don't want it to fall through. And we're going to make this physical. Now watch what happens. So before physical is there, of course, it's still stuck in midair. Once we've pressed physical, and then we X out, you've now made an item that can be moved all on its own. So this is really cool if you want to, you know, imagine balls or Lego or things like that, you know, and now you can actually move that item around. So it's something a little bit fun, and you can do this with any item. As long as you've got a solid ground underneath you, you can do this. Be careful though, it won't be the same prim afterwards, okay? So remember, if it's falling like that, you're probably not likely to get it to come straight again. But as you can see, if you notice, it'll still project. Of course, we've still got this as a projector. So it's something that's just an extra bit fun and something you can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a completely new prim, because I'm going to show you something else that you can make for your builds, okay? So we're just going to delete that. And again, guys, any questions or concerns, hit us up in the comment box in Google Classroom, and I'd be more than happy to go through this again. So we are going to get another box. Okay, and remember, we want to make this blank. We want a clean slate. So we're going to go into Texture. Press Texture. We're going to press blank. Now what you can also do in this, guys, is you can also type in a texture. So if I just type in Beetlejuice, for instance, see, then it will go on every single face. And you'll notice, like I said, you know, when it's transparent in the background, and it'll make your item transparent. Now what a lot of people do when they're trying to make something invisible, they will try and do it face by face. Now remember when I said about select face, and then you'll try and do face, and then face, and then face. It takes so much time, guys. So what I tend to do is this. I'll do edit, so the whole box is done. Press transparency, backspace, 100. And when I'm still highlighted, I press select face, select the face that I actually want to be shown, and then press 0. It's so much quicker than doing it face by face by face by face. So again, I'm going to go back to 0 for this. Right click. Okay, we're going to show them all, and again, we just want a blank box for this. Okay, blank. Now, one of the things you've noticed in SL, obviously we've shown you a light box for the plants and light boxes to create atmospheres, but one thing you can also make is a spotlight. So what I mean by this is a spotlight that gives the illusion, okay? So they can be kind of primmy in SL, and sometimes they don't necessarily give you the intensity that you want. So one of the things that I do, I make my own. So we're going to go back up to World, Environment, and Midday for a moment, just so you can have a better idea of what I'm doing. Okay, now for this, I'm doing Control, Shift, and I'm just dropping that down, okay? And I'm just giving myself a square, just like a small, simple square. I'm going to zoom in closer so you can see. See there, nothing special, just a flat prim, okay? What I'm going to do now is I want to give it a texture, okay? I want to give it a metal texture, because again, I'm making a little bit of a square spotlight. So for this, I've chosen a texture, I've chosen shiny metal, and I am just right clicking and dragging that in the texture box, okay? Now, one of the things that we can do here, okay, is we can actually edit how this texture looks. So this, for all, I'm just going to do select face for now, but you can do this on the whole prim if you want. We do this utilizing our texture scales here. So we have like horizontal, okay, which is back side to side, vertical, up and down, repeats per minute, sorry, per meter, I apologize, rotation degrees, horizontal offset and vertical offset. So when you're doing horizontal scale, that means it will either condense or enlarge a texture from side to side. Vertical, again, it will expand or make a texture smaller up and down. And when we have horizontal offset, that's when we're moving the texture. So you can see there, we're moving it up and down. One thing we can also do here, okay, actually I'll go over that later. So for now, I want to make this a little bit, I want to stretch it out a little bit more. So I'm just doing the horizontal offset and I'm stretching it out, and then I want it to move because I want to kind of utilize this here, and I want it to have the two lines. Stretching it out. And what we can do here, if you notice, see I've got 30, so I want to put this down to say 25, and then I've got what I want. Nothing special, you know, just something that I'm doing now. This is something that'll take practice with you guys, utilizing these numbers and getting comfortable with them. You will find that sometimes doing just the up and down arrows will not give you the detail that you want with regards to balance of the overall texture. So that's when you get used to actually utilizing the numbers and actually self-typing. So obviously highlighting, backspacing, and adding in your own numbers to give you exactly the scale of texture that you want. What I'm also going to do now, okay, is I'm actually going to do shift again, right click, and then I'm going to make a copy. Okay, now you'll see that the copy is directly on the top, and I'm going to do Control Alt, I'm going to do Control Shift, and I'm just going to make that box smaller. Now we've got the top one highlighted. Of course I don't want a metal texture, so I'm going to press blank. What you'll see now is that I've got a metal base and then the white, okay? So it's already starting to look a bit like a spotlight, isn't it? But of course we need a bit of light going on. So we're going to press full bright. We are going to make this 30% transparent, and then we're going to turn up the glow. Now of course that's a bit too glowy, isn't it, for me, especially when you're zooming out. So I'm going to do 0.50 and just die that down a bit. Might even go even further. And what we have here now is a spotlight. Okay? Really, really simple. Actually, I might put that down to 20. Yeah, that's better. 20. Now we're going to utilize, because of course, you know, these aren't actually together. So what we're now going to do is we're actually going to utilize linking and unlinking. Okay? So I am going to show you using larger boxes first off. Go back to my midday. So again, utilizing that one feature at top, we're going to get two boxes. And then shift and drag. So when we're doing builds, guys, sometimes linking items together will actually lower the prim count. This doesn't always work. Sometimes linking items together can actually increase it substantially. So that this really is a trial and error situation. When you're working with prims like this on its own, they tend to just stay the same, unless it's obviously a prim attached to mesh, and sometimes it will not make a difference whatsoever. So you really do have to be careful with that, and you get, as you're practicing and as you continue to build, you will get a fair idea of which items will increase or decrease a prim. So Get those arrows there. Okay, now we've got this box highlighted. Okay, and what we're going to do, guys, is we are going to go into, texture. So we've got this highlighted. We're going to press shift, okay, on our laptops, on our keyboards, hold it down, and we're going to highlight the second box. What you will see here now, guys, is that those two boxes are both highlighted together, okay? We're going to go into this menu here, and you'll see that the box here says link. I'm going to give that a quick press, and then I'll X out just, and as you can see, these boxes now move together. That has now become one item. Now, sometimes we want to unlink items. Now, this can be because we don't like a particular feature of a backdrop, or we don't like a particular feature of a house, for example, a wall, a floor. And this is really, really useful tool to utilize that and to change things. So what we're going to do now, okay, is we're going to press edit link. And then we're going to actually press the item that we wish to unlink. Okay. Now remember, it has to be the item that you wish to unlink. Press unlink. Do you really want to unlink? Absolutely. And then you'll notice now that this moves completely on its own. And again, this is something that is really, really useful to do on those amazing backdrops, on plants. If you just want the flower and not the overall plant, this is a really, really useful tool to utilize that. Now, using that concept that we've just learned, okay, we are now going to link together our spotlight. So we're going to right click that top light prim, hold down the shift button, press the base, and we're going to link them. And then what we're going to do, because obviously I've made that item, I want to utilize him in my build. So I'm going to press general, okay, and you'll see that it says object, and I want to change the name. So for me, my deco business is called Travail, so I'm going to put a T there. That's what helps me remember. But again, guys, whatever helps you. And I'm going to type in spotlight. And now you'll see, if anyone was to inspect that, it says spotlight there, and I can move it wherever I want. So we're going to delete those other prims, and again, guys, how do we do that? Okay, you want to select both of them, shift, click, click, right click, more, delete. Okay, so let me get out of the way. So now here, see, imagine you've got a modern build such as this, okay, and now we actually want to create a really, really nice environment. Now that we've got that item there, I want to turn it into a bit of a light box, because again, I want to have a source of light, and that's not really giving me a source, is it? So if we look here, we go into midnight. Now it's giving me a nice glow, but it's not necessarily giving me an environment, an inviting atmosphere. So again, we're going to go into features. We're going to press edit link. We're going to press the top prim. Okay. Now you could do this before or after you've linked them together. I just prefer to do it this way. It's just easier, but whatever works for you. We're going to press light. And then again, remember what I said to you, white can sometimes come across as a little cold. So I want to warm it up a little bit. I'm going to press OK. Now that we've now got a working light. So not only does it give off light, but it also looks like a spotlight. Okay, and then we can decorate as we see fit. Now, of course, you want to be careful with these because the range, they do give out a lot of light. Now what I've done there, again, I've clicked I've shifted and highlighted all of them, and then all I've done then is continue to hold down the shift key, and then I've dragged to make a copy. Now, one of the things that I tend to do with my builds like this is I do tend to link my stuff together. Just makes it easier for me for movement. Okay, so I'm just going to press link. Now, all of a sudden, you've created a really inviting modern space with your own light source. Quick, easy, and effective. So guys, that's been it from me. If you would like, if you have any questions, or you have any concerns, or there's something that you would really love to learn to know, hit me up, let me know in the comments in Google Classroom, and I will be here. Good luck with your homework, and I look forward to seeing what you guys achieve. All the best from now. Speak to you guys soon. Bye.